February 10th, 2017. I want to talk about the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision to uphold um, the the decision made in the lower court in Oregon for the travel ban. And basically, I want to point out that the executive order does not just cover it. It wasn't just about the travel ban. So within agencies, they have been directed to go through their policies and procedures, make sure everything is being done that can be done, and to facilitate that being done as fast as possible. There was a temporary ban put in place, 90 days for immigration and 120 days for refugees. Syria is a little long, is longer, but there is statement in there that from time to time the President of the United States will reassess and decide whether or not he is comfortable with the kind of protections that are in place to allow the lifting for Syria. That's what's actually in the Constitution. Now, the government agencies are still going to be doing the reassessment. Unfortunately, they're going to have to do it while also following through on this immigration. And that means that there is a possibility that it may end up having to stay in place longer because they're going to have to work this through. Now, hopefully, it won't be another 4 months, but it will have to, it could stay in place longer. That's the point. And it will be eventually upheld. I have no doubt about that. The court, most likely Kennedy, will vote alongside the other four justices, and you will see a 5-3 decision. If Gorsuch is in there, it'll be a 6-3 decision. I have little doubt of that because, again, the Court of Appeals of the Ninth Circuit Court has a very bad, they have a tendency to make decisions based on emotions and words instead of what's actually in the Constitution, what's actually in the law they're deciding on. So whenever it goes to the Supreme Court, they have a higher turnover rate on decisions they make than in any other court in the Union. So that's touching that. Next, I'd like to talk about the Sunni Shia part of the ban. According to the Christian Science Monitor, Trump said Christians would be included. That they would give priority to them. Now, it doesn't say that specifically in the executive order, but anyway. So, in Iran, there is the Shia are in complete control, which would mean the Sunnis, according to what's actually written on the executive order, would also have priority given to them because they are also a persecuted minority religion in those borders. In Libya, the reverse is true. The Sunnis are in control, and most of the Middle Eastern countries are under Sunni dictatorships. And so for that country, you would actually have the Shia who would actually also be given priority because they would be a persecuted minority in Libya. I can go through the others, but basically my point is there is no Islamic ban even in those countries because that won't actually take place until after the ban's done, for one thing. And number two, as I said before, there are Shia and the Sunni, so there is a difference in that regard. Now, I also want to point out that, okay, one of the arguments that are being made is why was Saudi Arabia not included? Because in 9/11 there was, most of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. Well, this is my opinion on the matter. He um, terrorists are not born, they are trained. Now, there is a strong central government in Saudi Arabia. There is a relatively strong central government in Egypt currently. There is not a good central government in Libya, Yemen, Sudan, Somalia, Iraq, Syria. And the only reason Iran is on there is because they have a tendency to support terrorism. So it makes sense to also include them on that. Now, if you would consider this possibility, you also know that a lot of the training that has been done for terrorists in other, that have happened, the training is usually done in areas like the Sudan, Somalia, Yemen. Obviously, Syria and Iraq is a mess due to certain bad decisions made by both George W. Bush and President Obama. So you have that problem as well. So all of these are defensible reasons for being on the ban. And it is not a surprise that on 9/11 they wanted mostly Egypt and Saudi Arabian people to do this. It makes perfect sense because these are people that are moderates and we work with them. And so their goal would be to try to disrupt that friendship. So, yeah, if they've got some disaffected Saudi Arabians who's willing to go and kill themselves, they're going to more than likely go for those people because of the fact that it could cause a rift with the West and these countries, therefore making it possible for those countries to be overthrown when they lose the protection of the West. I don't necessarily have a problem with not, with doing a temporary ban even on Saudi Arabia, but my point is there is a reason why these 7 countries are on there. So I hope this is informative, but I do want to reassure everybody that I believe the ban itself will be eventually upheld in the Supreme Court, and that the other parts that are going through government are still going through government. That has not stopped. So he is still working his way through this. It's just, unfortunately, due to this fake argument, it's going to take some time. So, anyway, thank you. Bye.